David Grusch, the whistleblower, gave private UFO presentation to officials from the FBI, CIA, Department of Homeland Security, tech entrepreneurs, and Wall Street bigwigs. Yay! So I first saw this on Twitter, where there are pictures of David Grusch giving this PowerPoint presentation. And it was what I read. You could attend. Anybody could have attended this presentation if you knew about it. It wasn't like it was. They're saying it's private, but I read that if you knew where it was, you could have attended. It's just not many people knew where it was. And this comes from the Daily Mail UK. So a UFO whistleblower shared new details of the TARDIS.
Nude details?
New details, not nude details.
Yes.
New details of a TARDIS-like craft in government possession during a secret meeting in New York City. Decorated former Air Force intelligence officer David Grusch claims his sources worked on a 40-foot UAP that was the size of a football field when you stepped inside the craft, according to an attendee at the event. The object could manipulate both space and time and could harness enough energy to power 70,000 homes a year, the source said. The DailyMail.com understands that guests included officials from the FBI, CIA, Department of Homeland Security, tech entrepreneurs, and Wall Street bigwigs. All in, Grush gave a talk to 60 people at a penthouse in Manhattan, and photos were banned from this event. Although, no, I did see photos. In fact, let me see if I got the...
there was leaked video of someone recording it from their phone at one point.
Yeah, and I think that's what I saw. So maybe this Twitter link is still up. Let's see if I can find it. I mean, there's really not much you can get from it. You can kind of see a little bit of the PowerPoint presentation, but he was definitely telling more information. Yeah, there it is. Here's a bit of the presentation right here. He's showing some sort of psychedelic slide. Maybe he's into Pink Floyd or something. I'm not sure.
Just his favorite PowerPoints.
Yeah, here's my favorite PowerPoint backgrounds.
Check out this one. If you squint at it,
pretty cool.
It's a boat. I mean, a schooner.
So maybe what I read was wrong. It wasn't open to the public since this was at a penthouse, but some people said
it was 60 people, that it was limited access. I mean, in the sense where they're limited people. I don't know if maybe it didn't publicize it.
Yeah, if you want to get in, you got to stand in the back, and no free lunch.
Yeah, no lunch for you.
We only ordered 60 lunch, so tough shit. The only information about the meeting was linked by an anonymous attendee who took pictures of Grush. The Daily Mail has since verified that the meeting took place and was told by sources that Coinbase advisor John Descanago and a high-powered attorney, John J. Altarelli, hosted the event. Coinbase is a publicly traded company that operates a cryptocurrency exchange platform. Of course. The two men are said to host monthly events at the penthouse apartment, focusing on different topics. The leaker said it was hosted by a Wall Street bigwig and his lawyer friend. It was sort of a small saloon-style talk. David also did it for free, even went as far as to fly into New York City just for this. He had arrived only a few hours beforehand, then left the first thing the next day. The idea was to get a group of both skeptics and believers from all these different walks of life for a talk regarding David and the things that he said. Most people who left had left as believers. Now, I don't know. Maybe the article goes into specifics. Some of the specifics are what I find to be the more fascinating part. Because he gave more information, I guess, at this talk than he did in front of Congress. So example, let's see here. He said an adversary country is considering UFO disclosure to get ahead of the United States.
I think we've talked about that if other countries have this stuff, they would want to use it they would want to leverage the technology as part of the for the economic benefits and military-industrial complex benefits.
Yeah, and just to one-up the United States.
Yes.
He also
Look
said,
what we've got in Kazakhstan.
well, yeah, I mean, it could be as easy as China wanting to change the narrative about something, or Russia at that point, and really create a whole new news cycle that would probably last for probably a few years. Then the next bullet point here, the non-human intelligence related to UAP look like the typical gray alien. That's what he said. Now, I didn't hear him say that in Congress, but he said this to this group of people. And then next bullet point here, the U.S. has UFO aircraft with a diameter of 40 feet. However, once a person goes inside, it appears to be the size of a football field. The craft is able to produce 1 terawatt of energy, or 70,000 homes worth of energy for a year. Only about 50 people knew the full extent of the nature. He says only 50 people know the full extent of the nature of the UFO phenomenon, although it's not specific 50 people in the entire world or 50 people in the United States.
Or just in that room.
Well, there's 60 people in that room.
So 10 of them don't know.
So 10 of you don't know anything.
10 of you are liars.
And so, yeah, there's several pictures here. And you can see, I mean, I think you could do some bit of internet sleuthing and find out everyone who attended.
Are you suggesting we dox these people?
No, I'm not. Okay. Not at all. So this was quite significant. There are also there's been like a lot of movement within the UFO community about there being some sort of catastrophic leak this year. I think Richard Doland has stated, and I trust his opinion on a lot of this stuff, is that there are private contractors now that work on these recovered UFOs that are willing to testify. They're willing to come forward and talk about this, since there's a lot of energy around this. There's a lot of hype, and the media is giving it proper amount of attention with not too much skepticism or scorn or making fun of people, that they probably would feel more comfortable coming forward to testify than ever before. Now, when it comes to like a private contractor working on this kind of stuff versus a government employee, I don't know what the whistleblower process would be like. If you're working for Lockheed Martin, you probably sign horrific amounts of contracts and non-disclosure agreements with severe penalties involved, and they just might outright kill you at that point. Not like the government won't, but these people probably definitely will.
Take you out back behind the dumpster and shoot you, leave you there.
Yeah. So I mean that's quite something. And you remember a few months ago we read a 4chan leaker. There was somebody on 4chan who was dying of liver cancer, and they said to themselves, "What the hell? I'm just going to tell you everything that I know." That he worked on one specific part of the UAP recovery process. I think his duty was to try to figure out some of the engineering aspects of it all, but he knew limited amounts about the entire scope of the operation. And so that some of these craft do get produced by an automated base at some sort of like on the bottom of the ocean alien base. You want to call them aliens? That's what we'll say. So there's some sort of alien base down there that is a factory for these UFO drones that then are produced, and that entire base down there is guarded. And if anybody approaches it, they get zapped. And it just gets crazier and crazier after that. So I think there is a lot of stuff here. I think there's a lot of truth around all these weird things, and to get Wall Street involved, and that's who David Grusch was talking to. I think that's a step in the right direction for UFO disclosure, but maybe not the step in the right direction for us as the people.
You mean because people will disclose that, but then use the information for nefarious purposes?
Yeah, maybe they're going to know where to invest, where not to invest. They're going to have the resources to capitalize on some of this new information. I'd love to see what these stock trades are. It really depends on if this UFO technology gets disclosed. Is the government going to come in and assume all responsibility for it and basically make it public domain? Or are they going to leave it in the hands of private companies to then dish out, monetize, and capitalize on? I think
if
that's
they're
part
smart,
of
they would slowly monetize the technology as in kind of a drip fashion to maximize profits and maximize the market impact.
I think they've done that for the past 60 years. And they've done everything they could do with the amount of technology that they have. How do you drip out a warp drive? How do you drip out a phaser?
Well, you lead up to it, or you blame it on some crazy guy out of Montana or somewhere.
Yeah, I think that some of that stuff, like the energy part of it, like if they do have reactors and power supplies that can power homes, like a small city for a year on relatively free energy, how do you drip that out? Yeah, I don't know if you can.
That's one where they'll just snap that up and put it on submarines and never.
Yeah,
never speak of it.
Yeah, of course. So I've been listening to a lot of remote viewers and what they see around the UFO phenomenon.
Have you been remotely listening to them?
I guess technically, yeah, because I'm at home and I am listening to them. I don't know where they are, so yeah, I am listening.
How deep does this rabbit hole go?
This goes pretty darn far, and there's a remote viewing group that is doing interesting things. Like they're remote viewing the existence of Jesus Christ. They're remote viewing the civilization of Atlantis. They're remote viewing major UFO events to see what really happened there, according to the remote viewers. And these are done in blind ways. So remote viewing is done by, you have people that use the power of their mind in order to conjure up the image of what they think the target location is, what is around it, what is the general impression. And there's a couple different ways to do remote viewing when it comes to plucking this information out of the ether using your mind, but they're doing it blind. So what they do, they just give the remote viewers coordinates. They don't give them any additional information other than a set of coordinates and maybe a time frame, if that. But that's all they got. And the one that I just got done listening to today was a remote viewing session done by two supposedly top guys in the field that top men in the remote viewing field that went back and decided to remote view the Phoenix Lights incident. So was Phoenix Lights just a bunch of flares? Was it a couple of paragliders, hang gliders? Was it a giant UFO? Was it what was it? And so they remote viewed this thing, and the first guy got different impressions than the second guy, but they both got the impression that what was up in the sky there in Phoenix in 1996 was, by all accounts, not human. It wasn't man-made by our technology at the time. Go ahead, Gretchen.
I was just going to say, why does the Phoenix Lights, that phrase, sound like a name of either an arena football team or a WNBA team?
Because it's a non-confrontational name. It's a very milquetoasty kind of...
It is very milquetoasty.
It's very milquetoasty. It doesn't swing one way or the other. It's the most PC of all names you could have for any sort of team.
No, that'd be the Phoenix team.
But the first guy...
What did they call the stupid one in Washington? Washington...
Oh, God.
Football potato
team. The Crusaders? No. The Crusaders...
Yeah, before that. It was before the Crusaders. They had a stupid...
There's the Washington Wizards. That was the basketball team.
Let's see.
Yeah,
the Washington football team. They literally called it the Washington football team.
Seriously?
Because they're that stupid. Yeah.
What the fuck?
And then of course they came up with Commanders as the we call it the Commanders because
so the first remote viewer detected and sensed a craft above Phoenix that he didn't say it was like a V shape. He said it was smooth, but it had firm surfaces. It was almost like rounded on the sides. It was gigantic, according to him, but it wasn't the delta shape that we have kind of all assumed it to be just because of its lighting configuration of what people saw. And he said that there were people on the ground because he didn't know what the event was. He didn't know he was remote viewing the Phoenix Lights. He said there were people on the ground outside the craft looking up in awe. And then he went inside the craft and said the people in the craft had no sense of awe. In fact, they were there and seemed very calm about the entire thing. And then as this first remote viewer dipped inside the craft even more, he said it was gigantic in there, but very minimal. He said everything was very orderly. Everything had its place. There were giant columns throughout the entire craft running vertically, and then there were various layers or decks to the craft in which different people could occupy that section of the craft. Now, as he dug in more to who was actually operating the craft from the Phoenix Lights, I got this little piece of audio here. Now, he's got an accent, so it might be a little harder to understand, but this is what he said.
Tall, thin. They feel like they have long blonde hair. They feel opaque or white in skin color, very fair. Fair's the word. There are males and females. Oh, this is strange, but they look alike. They're very similar. It's like the males look quite feminine as well because of their long hair and lips as well.
Yeah, you hear that, hippies?
Oh, the lips are not lipstick. Pale lips. They have pale lips. Striking eyes. And they move gracefully, slowly, carefully. Their movements are controlled and purposeful. It's like the design of the structure. Nothing feels wasted.
Now, he went on to say, so just to reiterate there, is like these people, very tall, blonde, with translucent skin, striking eyes, very graceful in the movements. He went on to say that this felt like this event felt like a first contact of a sort. But he did say this wasn't like the only time this sort of thing happened. And for whatever reason, he got the sense that this may have something to do with Area 51. It may have started off there, or there was something to do with Area 51. Now, if you look at the supposed trajectory of the Phoenix Lights, it did travel from the north to the south over, I believe, Arizona, and kind of zigzag out to, I think, maybe over New Mexico, but I think it did come down from an area where it could have come from Area 51. But overall, yeah, he said the shape of this craft was able to change to whatever it wanted. It did emit light, and it was very bizarre because it was tough for him to get defined, definite features because it was able to change. Now, the second remote viewer, he did detect something up in the sky during the Phoenix Lights, but the shape, he wasn't so focused on the shape. He was really focused on the overall, the innards of this craft and who was on the inside of this craft. Now, he did say this, like, I had to pump this up. So when he was remote viewing the event of the Phoenix Lights, he saw a bunch of people on the ground staring up at this object, and then he decided, I'm going to go inside this object and see what's there. But it took him a little bit, and he said this.
Well, it's
crammed full of shit.
It's crammed full of shit, is what he said.
It's the most like non-specific description of anything. No, there's a bunch of shit in there. I don't know where it is.
It's crammed full of shit, is what he said. And
or was he being literal? And he was remote viewing the can.
Maybe he's looking at the space toilet up there.
Oh God, what's this?
Which is different than what the previous remote viewer said. The previous remote viewer said it was very minimal, spacious, and there was only enough stuff there that they needed, and no more. It's very spacious and minimal in design. He actually used the word like feng shui to kind of convey how open and flowing the design was. But this guy said it was
the big toilet in the middle of the room.
This was when the second remote viewer did it, crammed full of shit.
Oh, it's crammed full of shit.
And he did go into great detail of what he thought the propulsion system looked like. It almost looked like a particle accelerator, but with billions of particles. And this second remote viewer was really drawn to the pilots of this craft. He saw many small little humanoids. He said almost the size of children. And then
like Oompa Loompas?
He didn't specify he didn't mention Oompa Loompas at all. It didn't enter into the vocabulary one bit. But he did say that the leader was a much taller alien that was very striking, very handsome, and was hyper intelligent. So this is what he had to say about this taller father figure alien, the one who apparently was in charge of the Phoenix Lights craft.
I get a definite male, feels male, but very handsome, a very pretty man, like a Swedish actor, smooth, perfect skin. I get a real masculine, manly feel, but not like doesn't need a shave, like smooth skin, masculine but handsome to the point of being pretty, but not at all effeminate. Hair is kind of swept back and long, light brown, blondish hair. Clothes are comfortable.
Yeah, and so he really went into a lot of detail about this person's appearance and I guess how handsome this humanoid on the ship was.
Keeps going on and on and on.
I cut that down too. He did
I went and hired an artist to paint pictures.
He did go on for quite a bit. He went on to say that, and the closer he got to look at this person, that that this person had cat-like eyes. And that kind of links back to the striking eyes that the first remote viewer commented on. Now, the second remote viewer was able to pull some information from this taller, very handsome, Swedish-looking fellow. He said this pilot or father figure leader of this UFO was hyper-intelligent, had some kind of like, if you had to make an analogy, 10 PhDs, was just as good at math and physics as he was at art and being creative, just a hyper-intelligent person. And he was able to get some information out of this person when it comes to the nature of the universe. And basically, this person said, our understanding of the universe is all wrong. The universe is not 3D in nature. It is 4D, 5D. There are extra dimensions within this universe.
60?
I don't think it goes up to 60. It's definitely not 3.
70?
Maybe 4?
Maybe 4.
5.60.
But the remote viewer was able to try to convey how these UFOs, at least this particular craft, the Phoenix Lights craft, is able to traverse the universe, our galaxy, different star systems, and this is the best way he could put it.
What they are is...
So this is like in reference to stars and how, like, our sun and stars in general. So he's trying to tell us what stars really are.
What they are is energy coming through from a fourth dimension. So they're holes to another dimension. They're not just a nuclear fusion reaction going on. They're a hole in the third dimension that goes to another dimension. And I was working part of this session, and I got and that what he's explaining is that the stars connect to another dimension, and if you go to that dimension, that exists in one place, but the stars in this seeming three dimension, it seems like they're far apart, but if you can go through to that, you can go out any other one, and that's how they travel.
So the light that pours through from, like, our sun or different stars is actually coming from another dimension. And if we can get through those stars, we would wind up in a dimension that connects to every other star that exists, and you can use those as portals to get to different parts of the galaxy, different parts of the universe. Where there's a star, there is a portal. So if we want to travel, we got to go into the sun.
Let's do it.
Hulk will do it single-handeded.
Yeah, I'll do it right now.
It is an interesting concept. I'm not aware that not aware. I don't recall having heard that in the past, that there is some sort of higher level existence, and that the stars are the, what do you call it, the holes in that membrane.
Yeah, and he basically likens it to, like, if you hold up a piece of paper and you put little holes in that piece of paper, hold up to a light, and that is what we see. Like, those little pinpoints of lights are stars, but if we go through them, it kind of like all connects on the backside. And it's like what we see is just kind of like a veil, and if we can punch through, we have access to that different dimension that connects everything behind the scenes. It's like the black holes suck everything in, but stars push everything out. We just got to be able to go through them. There have been tons of people, like, when they look at the sun, specifically our sun here, they will claim to see giant UFOs next to the sun. And now people will say these are just artifacts produced by photography or digital image processing. And there's truly not some planet-sized UFO by the sun hanging out, even though people have photographed these things over and over again. But maybe that is a possibility, that these craft, they're able to construct craft so big that they're so advanced in technology that the size of the craft is immaterial to them, and they can go in and out of any star that they want in order to master travel throughout the galaxy and universe. Fascinating to consider. Kind of hard to wrap your head around, but I like it. Now,
ask Hulk to go check that out for us.
Okay, he'll do it. Yeah.
I want you to come up north next week.
Sure.
No, farther north.
But yeah, I mean, if our government kind of knows some of this stuff, explaining that to your average person, that these aliens are able to travel to our solar system through the sun, but we don't know how they get through the sun. We don't know how they enter or exit through the sun. That might be a bit of an issue. Even if we are to master some of their technology and replicate it in some way, going into the sun's a whole different thing.
Well, maybe that's a good gateway to prove that you're technologically capable, because otherwise you just get burned up and die.
That's the test, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, if you guys can traverse the sun, then you're one of us.
Or maybe they just figure, hey, you made it in here. All right, we'll give you the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, you won at that point.
But first, you have to continue to describe how handsome I am. So keep going.
Apparently, like the people on the Phoenix Light ship, pretty good looking. Pretty good looking.
According to that one dude.